They won't tell you who they are. They'll smile, nod, perform the right words. But Machiavelli knew the secret most people miss. People don't hide themselves. They leak. Your job isn't to believe their lines. Your job is to read their patterns. You learn to be unreadable. Now you learn to read. You start with what amateurs skip. Normal. Build a baseline before the temperature rises. How fast do they speak when nothing's at stake? Where do their eyes rest when you aren't talking? What's their casual posture, their throwaway phrase, the way they treat the person with no power in the room? That's the ground. Then, tilt the floor half a degree. Add a small silence, a mild compliment, a gentle time limit, and watch what breaks from baseline. Because the truth doesn't show up wearing a costume. It shows up as a change. The deviation is the confession. Pressure is the oldest interrogation. You don't need a spotlight. You need a clock. Give them a choice with a boundary. We can do it, but I'll need an answer in 10 minutes. Watch what they protect first. Image, comfort, or control. Praise their rival and see if they collaborate or cut. Offer an instruction that's blurry and study whether they clarify, seize, or freeze. Under pressure, priority steps forward. What they defend tells you what they're truly serving. Silence is not absence. Silence is an X-ray. Ask the clean question, then shut your mouth and count to 5. The first thing they say is the costume. The second thing is the jailer fumbling the keys. Do not rescue them. Let the quiet expand until their own mind rushes to fill it. People think you're being polite. Really, you're letting gravity do your work. Machiavelli would teach you to listen for answers that aren't. Some people specialize in saying many things that equal nothing. You'll hear it if you're awake. The history answer, stories instead of stances. The halo answer, values instead of facts. The future fog, promises that land on later. The mirror move, repeating your question to buy time, then aligning with your frame to avoid cost. When you detect evasion, reduce the field. Dates, dollars, deliverables. Clarity flushes cowardice. Most people think persuasion is talk. Reading isn't talk. It's triangulation. Watch them with you, then with someone beneath you, then with someone above you. Are they consistent when status shifts? Do they laugh upward and bark downward? Do they become a shadow near power, then a spotlight near weakness? Character doesn't change with audience. Performance does. Desire carves the mask. Find the hunger, and you own the map. Validation-driven people over-explain and overshare. They leak plans for a pat on the head. Control-driven people schedule your breath. They interrupt, impose micro deadlines, and punish surprise. Security-driven people worship policy. They pile details to avoid risk. Dominance-driven people play zero-sum. Even their compliments come with teeth. Once you see the need, you can feed it or starve it, depending on what you want. Break their pattern, and you'll meet their operating system. Change the chair order. Start 5 minutes early. Switch from email to a handwritten note. Calm improvisers adapt. Blamers scramble for alibis. Jokers duck behind humor. Quiet questioners file accurate blades. People reveal themselves when the script goes missing. You don't ask blunt questions first. You bait. What do you think they're missing? Ambition and resentment step forward for air. If you weren't constrained, what would you do next? The real plan leaks. Who deserves more credit here? You just drew a map of loyalties and rivalries without lifting a pen. Bait works because it lets them brag safely. Bragging is confession with a mirror. Agreement is a test, not a treaty. Agree with them twice on something small. Let their nervous system relax. Then place one clean contradiction on the table and watch which loyalty wins, ego or evidence. If they abandon reality to protect identity, you're dealing with theater. You don't argue with theater. You end the scene and choose a different stage. Language has temperature. Measure it. Cold words, numbers, deltas, specifics, signal outcome minds. Warm words, fair, respect, vibe, signal social currency minds. Sharp words, must, obviously, signal status plays. Fog words, maybe, kind of, signal commitment fear. Match their temperature to gather data without spooking the animal. Then set your own temperature to set the room. Status isn't a title. It's tiny math. Who sits without being asked? Who answers questions not aimed at them? Who goes last, then receives agreement anyway? Leaders rarely announce themselves. They are announced by the behavior of everyone else. Ask about a scar that should exist. If they polish it clean, they fear judgment. If they worship it, they're married to their wound. If they name the lesson and move, they've converted pain into power. Scars don't lie. Only stories do. Future tense is a trapdoor. Great. Which day by 5 p.m. works? Which budget line covers it? Vagueness drowns in exactness. Precision gives the honest permission to exhale. Machiavelli would smile here. Truth likes calendars. Mirroring is not worship. Take one element, their last 3 words, their verb, their tempo, and reflect it to keep the faucet open. Let them pour. Then break mirroring suddenly. If rapport holds, it was real. If it evaporates, it was compliance. Run a quiet audit while they speak. Is this consistent with what they did last time? Does this cost them anything to say? Who benefits if I believe this? If the answers point away from reality, you're watching a play. Do not boo. Do not clap. Leave the theater. People curate the center and forget the edges. Read the edges. The calendar edge, always slammed, but never booked. The inbox edge, instant replies to praise, molasses for work. The relationship edge, crowded acquaintances, empty references. The money edge, loud wealth, quiet receipts. The truth you need is never on the brochure. It's on the margins. Use 3 silences in one conversation. After your hardest question, after their longest sentence, right before you agree. You will learn what they fear, what they want, and what they'll settle for. Most people call this awkward. Machiavelli called it information. When someone thinks they've impressed you, they relax. When they relax, they disclose. Give them one genuine, specific compliment on competence, not character. Your breakdown of the risks was clean. Competence praise opens the vault faster than flattery. It's a signal you understand the game they're playing. They'll show you more pieces. Read their exits. How do they end a call when nothing's left to gain? Rushed exits hide guilt. Lingering exits hoard control. Warm exits signal surplus. Cold exits burn bridges because they think they own another. Endings predict futures. Watch how they handle a small boundary, not a grand confrontation, a tiny number. I can't do Tuesday. Do they negotiate, punish, or pivot? People reveal their whole conflict style in miniature. The way they treat a small no is how they'll treat your big ones. Remember this, liars hide in adjectives, truth hides in nouns. It was absolutely, incredibly, totally handled. Means nothing. John sent the contract Wednesday at 4:12 means something. Drag language from decoration to detail. Watch what survives the journey. If you want a person's hierarchy, give them 2 goods and 1 great. Then watch what they drop. Do they sacrifice quality for speed? Speed for control? Control for applause? Values aren't what we claim. Values are what we choose to lose. Machiavelli never confused pleasant with safe. The charming can be the most dangerous, not because charm is evil, but because it lowers your guard while they learn your map. Smile back, but keep your clipboard. You're not there to be entertained. You're there to collect. Occasionally, let them believe you misunderstood. Don't correct the misread. Observe what they try next. If they move to exploit, you've learned their ethics. If they move to clarify, you've found a mind worth building with. Either way, you paid very little for very expensive information. People reveal themselves when you stop trying to reveal them. Ask, then stop digging. Let them circle the silence until they fall into their own holes. The impatient fill your file for you. The disciplined withhold. And those are the only ones you treat carefully. Here's the cut that leaves a mark. Judge people by what overrules them. If desire overrules discipline, expect drama. If image overrules both, expect betrayal. If discipline rules desire, you can put weight on them. Not your secrets, your deadlines. You used to fear being decoded. That fear is gone. You sit still and watch the leaks. You build the baseline. You raise the heat 2 degrees. You don't argue with theatre. You don't rescue evasions. You press with dates and dollars and let silence do its quiet violence. You map the hunger behind the mask and decide whether to feed it or starve it. For the next 24 hours, run one clean test with 3 people. Establish baseline in the first minute. Ask one bait question. Hold 5 seconds. Note the deviation and the need. Tomorrow, set a future tense trap with one exact date. You won't need a week to see it. You'll feel the floor tilt under your feet. They thought they were hiding. They weren't. They were publishing. And you finally learned how to read. Now you don't chase certainty. You collect it, quietly, completely. And when the moment comes to move, you won't need to talk them into anything. You'll already know where they'll step